Hi, Sunday school friends. It's Julie here. I'm just out on a walk enjoying some of the fall leaves. Well, last week, Liz talked to us about what a parable is. Do you remember what she said? If you haven't seen the video, you could have a chance to go back and look at it. She talked about how parables are stories that teach us something, and they're a special kind of story that Jesus would tell his followers. And the Bible is full of parables. So today we're going to look at a parable about some people who behaved very badly. They were called the wicked tenants. And just like the parable that Wendy showed us last week, this one also takes place in a vineyard. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you soon, and also hope that you get out to see some of the beautiful fall leaves that are out and about. See you soon. This is the parable of the wicked tenants from the book of Matthew. Tenants are people who are renting. Lots of people rent where they live. Here, the people were renters of a vineyard where grapes grow on vines in rows and rows. The grapes were used to make wine. The renters, or the tenants, looked after the vineyard and they got some of the fruit, but the person who owned it also got some fruit. When Jesus told this parable, he was in Israel. He knew that eventually the religious leaders there would turn on him and he would be killed on the cross. Jesus was in the temple. He was teaching and talking to religious leaders. So Jesus told this parable. He said that there was a vineyard. At that time, it was common to refer to Israel as a vineyard. A landowner planted a vineyard, and he put walls around it, and he built a watchtower. He planted all the vines where the grapes would grow fruit. Then, because he didn't plan to live there, he got some tenants. These renters would come and look after the land while he was gone. Then, when the fruit came, they would take some, and he would get some too. So the tenants took over the vineyard, and the landowner went off to another country. Some time later, when the fruit was ready, the owner, who was in another country, sent one of his servants to collect his portion of the fruit. And how do you think those tenants behaved? Well, just as it was said in the title of the parable, they were wicked. They hurt the servant, they beat him up, and he was gone. And so, having not received his fruit, the owner sent another servant, and the tenants again did not want to share. And so they were very wicked. They hurt this servant, they beat him, and they killed him. It was a terrible thing for them to do. Finally, after not receiving what he was owed, the owner sent his son. "Surely they will respect my son," he said. Having seen the son, the tenants said, "The heir of the vineyard. We must kill him so we can take over." And then Jesus said, "And what do you think the owner, having returned, will do to these wicked tenants? He will take these wretched tenants out, and they will be killed, and he will let this vineyard to a new group of people who will take care of it as they should." I was quite surprised by the ending of this parable, and I'll come back to that later. Actually, I didn't know that much about this parable, so I had to do some reading to find out what others said. Well, what was Jesus trying to tell us? There was the landowner who planted the vineyard. Most people say that the landowner represents God. And God created the vineyard, which is represented as Israel. Israel is the land that was given to the religious leaders. They are the tenants in the story. These tenants behaved badly. Now, the religious leaders listening to this story probably recognized that this is who they were in the story. Then there were the servants who went to collect the fruit. They represent the prophets of God, who went to God's people but were turned away. And finally, the Son. The Son is representative of Jesus. Sadly, the Son is killed, and that is what we know happened to Jesus. So I found the meaning of this parable by looking in many different sources. Maybe it means something else to you. Do you have any ideas? Okay, now back to the ending. I was surprised that the owner killed the tenants. I mean, to me, God seems like someone who would forgive the sins of the tenants. But if you think about it, you could understand that Jesus was angry with the religious leaders because they were refusing to believe that he was the Son of God. And eventually the religious leaders would send Jesus to his death. Okay, so now we have learned a lot about what this parable means. Now's the hard part, to figure out what we can do about it in our everyday lives. Think, for example, of the vineyard. What has God given us to take care of? He's given us life, and He's given us the earth. And all that He asks in return is that we show Him love, and that we take care of others and love them the way that we wish to be treated. What are some of the ways that we can cultivate our vineyard? What can we do to grow love? What can we do to tend to the soil? And how can we show God that we are living in the ways that Jesus asked us? Blessings for the week to come, and I hope I'll see you soon.